everyone, it's Tori. We're here for another Q&A. You guys have sent in a ton of questions and I'm just going to be really upfront with you guys. It's real hot in here because I turned off the AC, so if at some point I have to turn it back on, I apologize for the noise. First question from Instagram. When will you do another full day routine? I love the other one, but have things changed since then? I will be doing a full day routine pretty soon. My boyfriend and I were sort of talking about starting vlogging, and we weren't sure if maybe we wanted to do like an extra channel or just put up like a weekly occasional vlog on this channel. We haven't decided yet, but I think if we do decide to go that route, that'll probably be one of our first videos because it does. The pets encompass a large portion of our day, as you guys can imagine. The routine has indeed changed since the last full day routine. How long does it take for a hedgehog to get used to you picking him up, like on average? Do you like bedding or fleece better for hedgehogs? Thanks, I love your videos. Thank you. How long it takes for a hedgehog to get used to you, there isn't really an average for it because it's different for every single hedgehog. I think I've told you guys before that one of my hedgehogs took less than a month while the other one took almost a year. It's totally up to the hedgehog. And I do like fleece better than bedding. I think fleece is better for a lot of animals that can use it. It's reusable, it's economical, there's not a whole bunch of waste, it's not as messy, you don't have to worry about things like URIs or getting things stuck in penile and vaginal canals and all of that stuff. How much are tenrics? Are they much maintenance? Would you recommend that or a hedgehog? Are they similar? Thanks. Sorry for all the questions. Your vids are great. Thank you. So how much are tenrics? They usually range from $500 to $1,000. Ours was $650. They're pretty expensive, and then a lot of the time, because there's not many in the country, you'll have to have them shipped, and that can range anywhere from $150 to $300 depending on who you're getting them from. Would you recommend that or a hedgehog? That's hard because I think and touching on your next question, are they similar? I think they're different enough that I can't really recommend one or the other. I know this is going to sound bad. I love my hedgehogs, but I think I prefer tenrics. I don't know. I love my hedgehogs, but they're really skittish a lot of the time, and that's just their nature. That's how a lot of them are. When they're out for a little while, they get used to their environment and stuff like that, and you get some hedgehogs who are just unfazed by everything. That's not my hedgehogs, but a tenric is basically like that. They're not fazed by very much at all. They can sit on your shoulder while you walk around. They don't have a lot of heat requirements and stuff like that. Touching on their maintenance though, I'd say they're both low and high maintenance. No, they're definitely low maintenance. Their cages don't need cleaned as often because they're not very messy. They're, in fact, so far the only thing I've had to do, I've had Finn a month now, and the only thing I've had to do to his cage is change the liner. Even the hanging stuff still isn't dirty. He goes in it all the time, but he doesn't pee or poop in it or anything like that. So yeah, he's an incredibly clean animal. The only place he poops is on the bottom liner, and it's usually under his wire wheel. They tend to pick a corner. And he's a baby, and from everything I've read and been told, babies poop a lot more than adults, which means when he's older, he's gonna make even less of a mess. So, yeah, the really low maintenance. The highest maintenance thing about them is probably their diets, and that's just simply because I have to buy insects for him. And I don't have to buy insects for the rest of the pets, obviously, though several of them can eat them. So, you know, that's been a little bit of a trouble for us, mostly because our post office isn't very good. So we tend to have some issues when the bugs come in. But I order in bulk so that I don't have to deal with it very often. So yeah, they're pretty low maintenance. In fact, when they're adults, Knox is right by the camera. When they're adults, they go into torpor in the winter, which is basically hibernation, and they don't really eat or move or anything like that. And you can still get them out and play with them, but maintenance wise, there's basically none except for like making sure that their water's topped up. So yeah, I think they're one of the lowest maintenance pets I've got right now. How can you convince your parents to get a hedgehog? See, this is a touchy question for me because I am a firm believer that you shouldn't convince your parents to get pets, that they should be on board. You can convince them to an extent, like show them you're prepared. You know, some people like write essays with all the care requirements to show their parents that they know what they're doing, they're ready to take on the responsibility, they're responsible. But I have trouble with that because I think the parent needs to want the pet as well, because at the end of the day, unless you drive and have a job, your parents are the ones that are financially responsible and medically responsible for your pet. So if something goes wrong, they have to drive them to the vet. They have to pay for that expense. Even if you have a job, a lot of the time the parent needs to pay for that expense anyway because it's expensive. So I think the best way is to show them you're ready, and if your parents still don't want you to get the pet, then to just wait until you're old enough to get the pet without them. Responsibly get the pet without them, that is. Just because anything can go wrong at any point, and if your parent isn't prepared for that along with you, then it can make it a really miserable experience. So that's it for the Instagram questions, and now we're moving on to the the YouTube questions, and there are a lot. So I'm gonna try and whiz through them. So we'll see how that goes. What wheel is the best wheel to get for hedgehogs? P.S. Love your videos. Thank you. I personally believe the Carolina Storm bucket wheel is the best. It's silent. It's got a smooth surface. You can wipe it out really easily and keep it clean. There's no ridges to bug their feet. It's not wire. Again, it's silent. They're nocturnal. They run all night. Silent is key. What's the funniest story of any of your pets that you have witnessed? Actually, when you posted this, I sat down and thought about it, and I couldn't really think of anything. They all have funny moments. The cat, when he was still new to the apartment, was trying to get into Arwen's bin, and of course the bin's completely secure, but he charged at it, and instead of stopping, just like face planted into the bin, and that was pretty funny. Bear has a lot of little funny stories that weren't funny to me, but they were funny to like friends and stuff. Like he figured out how to climb on the table and stole a bunch of food and stuff like that. I don't have like one specific moment, unfortunately. I wish I did. Can you do a small pet toy video? I touched on this before. Maybe. It's a strong maybe, because a lot of my pet toy ideas have come from other people and I don't want to copy their ideas. But if I ever come up with something original, I will post a video of it. I actually filmed one for a platform that I came up with. But I was actually watching a movie while I was making the platform, because if you've made any like popsicle crafts, they can take a while. And the movie was in the shot the whole time and I didn't know, so I couldn't post the video. What is your favorite domesticated animal? Probably Tenrix at this point. Which of your pets is the clumsiest? That would definitely be Bear. When will you get your next pet and what will it be? By the way, the hamsters are the cutest. Thank you very much. we won't be getting any new pets anytime soon. I don't even have an idea of what we would want, to be honest with you, because we're max capacity. I couldn't even take in a rescue or a foster right now. We are jam-packed. How can I convince my parents for a hedgie? By the way, I love your channel. I already touched on that in my previous response to that, but thank you very much. How hard is it to take care of a hedgehog, and where did you get your hedgehogs? By the way, I love you and I love this channel. Well, thank you very much again. It's not very hard to take care of a hedgehog at all. The hardest part about taking care of hedgehogs is probably the bonding if you have a hedgehog that is, you know, stubborn. But even that's not too hard. It just takes some patience. Where did you get your hedgehogs? I got them both from a breeder in Dayton by me. Do you have a Snapchat? I do, but it's a personal Snapchat. I do actually use the Instagram stories feature though, if you want to follow my Instagram, which is basically the same thing. Links to my Instagram will be down below, but it's the same as the channel name. I've recently heard, after purchasing fleece and a Carolina storm wheel for my little hedgie, that fleece isn't good for them, and that the homemade bucket wheels can become slippery and cause dislocations. What do you think about these opinions? I think those opinions are unfounded and strange. I've never heard, well, no. I have heard people say, not people, I've heard one person say that fleece isn't good for them, and it's a breeder who has no basis for that and isn't a reputable breeder to begin with. And then bucket wheels causing dislocations, I've never heard, ever. And I'm on every hedgehog page possible. I mean, I've literally never heard of that being an issue. If you're worried about it, I guess use your best judgment, but I've never once ever heard anything about any of that stuff happening. I'm not even sure how that's possible on a bucket wheel. They don't really become slippery to begin with, but they're so low to the ground that if your hedgehog slipped, it wouldn't cause a dislocation. They don't hold on to your pet's like leg or anything. They just they would just slip off onto the ground. I don't know. If you had to get another pet, what pet would you get? We would not get any more right now. Not anytime soon. Maybe in a couple of years. I'm not sure if you've done one of these, but fleece versus bedding for hedgehogs. I like fleece better. I think I already said this. And I'm getting real hot in here. It's real hot, guys. My AC is off for y'all. Are tenrecs hard to care for? How are the hedgehogs doing? How old are your hedgehogs now? If something happens to your hedgies, would you get more hedgies? I love your videos. Thank you very much. Tenrecs are not hard to care for. They're actually very easy. How are your hedgehogs doing? They're doing great. How old are your hedgehogs now? Draco will be 3 next month, September. And Blaze is 2.5 now. He'll be 3 in February. If something happens to your hedgies, would you get more hedgies? I'm not really sure. Probably. I don't know, maybe. I'd like to always, I don't know if I'd always keep 2. But I feel like I'd always at least want to have 1 around. Okay. What's your favorite type of cage for hedgehogs and why? Our current cage is probably my favorite, personally. It's not for everyone at all. But we have the Critter Nation now, and it's a double because I have 2. And I love that cage. It's so easy to clean, so easy to see in. But the reason I say it's not for everyone is because it is a wire cage, and wire cages don't hold heat at all. So we have to keep our AC pretty high. We can't turn it on below like 72 because then their cages get below 72. Even with their heat lamps, because the heat lamps basically heat just whatever's directly under them in a wire cage. My favorite type of cage for people that have heating issues is a bin cage, that's for sure. I didn't enjoy the bin cage very much because I like having some extra space and I don't have heat issues like that. So, you know. What's your favorite species of hamster? Probably robos. Or just dwarfs in general. Yeah. Oh, this person has posted more than one. Hold on. Only came here for the hamster. He's very cute. Do hedgehogs make great pets? They do. I really enjoy them. Some people don't enjoy them. I think that's something that depends on an individual person. Favorite hedgehog of yours? Favorite quill color of hedgehogs? I don't know that I have a favorite. I know a lot of people would probably think Draco because he's sort of the ambassador hog. I do all of my care videos with him because he's easier, but I don't think I have a favorite. Favorite quill color of hedgehogs. Now that is where Blaze takes the cake because he is definitely one of my favorite quill colors. He's a dark gray, so pretty. Even his facial markings, gorgeous. What is better for a kid to have as a pet, a hedgehog or a guinea pig? This might sound bad, but I don't think really either. It really depends on the kid. Hedgehogs are really hard to bond with. Not all of them, but some of them are really difficult to bond with. The quills kind of hurt, especially kids. It's not a pleasant feeling when they're upset and they're on your hand and they're pricking you. But guinea pigs are really, really high maintenance and they need a lot of space and they need to be cleaned out once to twice a day, and I don't think either of them are great kids' pets. I think if the parent owns the pet and is doing all the work, and the kids just want, you know, to have like lap time, then maybe a guinea pig, because they don't have quills. That's a complicated question. Did you grow up with small animals? If so, how would you convince your parents? What is the scariest health scare your veterinarian gave you? Ooh. I did not grow up with small animals. I had one, a hamster named Ham Ham. I know, I'm very creative. What is the scariest health scare your veterinarian gave me? I think what you mean by that is like, what is the scariest health scare we've had, like with all the pets that had to go to the vet, and that was probably Bear's had a lot. Bear's had health scares from pretty much the second we got him. We got him and he had kennel cough, and then when he got neutered he got an infection, and he ate some mushrooms outside, and that made him really sick, and the vet told us there was a possibility he could die. He didn't, thank God. He had a really severe allergic reaction once. But most recently, I think the scariest moment was when, and I've told you guys about this a little bit, I think I have videos called Bear's Health Issues or something like that. He couldn't pee. He was getting multiple catheters a day, and it was just really, really scary, because if something can't pee, they just can't survive. Like, it's dangerous. And they were telling me stones, and that Bear had bladder stones. He wound up not having any, thankfully, but yeah, it was really scary. What was your first pet ever owned? Oh, this is a whole list of questions, so I'm just going to do them one at a time. What was your first pet you ever owned? Probably, I know my mother had a dog when I was very, very little, but I don't remember it, so I won't count that. I had a cat named Sasha when I was like 4. I couldn't keep her very long. We started moving, so we rehomed her, but she was probably my first, I think. If you could meet any YouTuber, who would it be? Ooh, that's a tough one. I don't know. There's quite a few I'd like to meet. I don't know. There's a lot. I would love to meet PewDiePie and Jacksepticeye and Markiplier. They're literally the only gaming channels I watch. I really enjoy all three of them. And then I would really like to meet quite a few beauty gurus, like Vintage or Tacky is like the very first beauty guru that I've ever sort of related to. So I wouldn't mind meeting her. We have a local vlogging couple that I wouldn't mind meeting. That would be pretty cool, and they're local, so that would be awesome. They're the only ones I know of in my area that's press record. So you know, there's a lot. There's a lot. I watch a lot of channels. I try to keep this channel solely pet stuff. I have two channels, like a personal one. I don't post videos on it, but my personal one, I subscribe to all kinds of different channels. And I'd love to meet most of them. So I don't subscribe to any channels where I'm like, oh God, that person is awful, you know? Like I'm not one of those people that watches things that I don't enjoy. I don't have the time to do that anyway. Where will your holiday getaway be? You tell me. I don't think we're going anywhere this holiday. Any of the holidays. That takes a lot more money than we have. And plus, I don't have a reliable pet sitter for all the pets, so we tend to not go on holidays. For how long now did you own your pets? All of them? Well, okay, so I've had Felix for 5 years. Yeah, 5 years for Felix, 3 years for Bear, almost 3 years for Draco, 2 years for Blaze, 2.5 years for Goyle up here. The girls I've had for a year this month. The pigs I've had for, they'll be 2 years around Christmas. The cat, not even a full year, maybe 6 months, 7 months. The Tenric I've only had for about a month. Is that everyone? I think that's everyone. Your future pet. No future pets right now. My boyfriend wants a chinchilla way in the future. Well, he wants multiple chinchillas way in the future. But that'll be after we have moved. We're still in an apartment now, and we've got quite a few in this apartment, as you guys know. But also, it would be difficult to have chinchillas and hedgehogs at the same time because hedgehogs have different heat requirements. Same with hamsters. Hamsters can't, my hamsters don't like to be as cold as chinchillas like it. So, yeah. Why did you want to start Pet YouTube? What are your what are your pet's favorite treats? I started mostly because I was inspired by other pet channels, but also a lot of it had to do with the fact that I had hedgehogs and all of the hedgehog channels were really outdated. The most popular hedgehog channel was posting a lot of incorrect info. He still does. And then another channel that was really popular hadn't been active in a couple years, so the information was getting outdated. And so I wanted to put some stuff that was up to date out and that was you know, beneficial to people who like to learn about animals online. What are your pet's favorite treats? Felix really I'm pointing because he's over there. Felix, his is probably any kind of meat. Like, yeah, pretty much any kind of meat. Bear likes anything you'll give him except for some vegetables. Knox likes the hedgehog food, and technically that's cat food. But he is on an all wet diet, and so we sometimes give him dry food as a treat because he'll come running every time you feed the hedgehogs at night. He also likes greenies. The pigs don't really get treats. I just use their veggies for treats, but they do really like blueberries, and they don't get them very often. All of the hamsters really like whimsies and puffs. The hedgehogs don't really care for treats that much. I guess Draco really likes eggs. Blaze doesn't really have a treat he likes. He does like to anoint with applesauce though. The Tenric, I don't know yet. We'll find out together probably. Yeah, that's it. How many pets have you had? Which has been your hardest to tame? Well, I have 11 now, and then there was crabs, so that makes 12. I had a few before that, but I didn't really grow up with animals of my own. I grew up with like my family's animals. Like my grandparents had dogs and stuff. And my cousins had other pets. I had my hamster and my cat, and I think that's it. I mean, when I was really little, like, I don't remember it, but I know I had fish and a dog. Well, my mom had fish and a dog when I was really little. So, and birds? I don't remember it. Which has been your hardest to tame? Probably, someone's awake. Goyle's awake. Which has been your hardest to tame? Blaze. And yeah, he took about a year to come around, and he still has some bad days. What are the pros and cons of having a hamster? Pros, they're really low maintenance, they're really adorable. Once they're hand tamed, they're even more adorable. Cons, sometimes they can be hard to tame. They need a lot of space, which isn't really a con, but it sort of depends on the space you have available. They can be escape artists. Both of my girls are escape artists. They're fairly affordable pets as long as they don't have too many health issues. Oh, another con is that they're nocturnal. It's not really a con for me, but it's a con for a lot of people. Well, they're crepuscular. I can't really say that word, but you guys know they're up at dawn and dusk, which isn't great for everybody, but I'm sort of a night owl, so it doesn't bother me. What was the first hamster you got, and what did you name it and why? Ham Ham was the very first hamster I got, and that was way before this channel. And I named him Ham Ham because of Hamtaro. What was your biggest hamster mistake? Cage is too small. That was definitely... That cage size was definitely my biggest mistake right off the bat. Yeah. What is your #1 tip for hedgehog care, and what Hogwarts house are you in? What is your favorite pet? Is Draco named after Draco Malfoy from Harry Potter? So what is your #1 tip for hedgehog care? Patience. Their care in general is pretty basic. It's a lot like every other animal you clean and feed. But the bonding with them can be the hardest, depending on what kind of hedgehog you have and how friendly your hedgehog is. That can be the most difficult part, and you really just need patience for it. What house are you in? I am in Slytherin. What is your favorite pet? I don't really have one, but if you guys know what heart animals are, they're like the animal you're closest to. That's probably Felix. And what is your... Oh, sorry. Is Draco named after Draco Malfoy from Harry Potter? He is. And Blaze is named after Blaze Zambini. Crab and Goyle are... Well, Crab isn't with us anymore, but Crab and Goyle were named after Crab and Goyle. Finn is Seamus Finnegan. Lumi is Lumos the Spell. Nox is Nox the Spell. So those are all Harry Potter. And then the rest of the pets are all Lord of the Rings. So we have Arwen, Merry and Pippin, and Finn. I say he's named after Seamus Finnegan, but he's also named after Glorfindel from Lord of the Rings. Something my boyfriend came up with. I don't actually know the character Glorfindel, but apparently he's in the books. What time schedule do you go by for lighting for your hedgehogs? Meaning, what time does the light go on and what time does the light go off? It goes on at 10:30 in the morning. It goes off at 10:30 in the evening. I do 12 on, 12 off, and I do 12 on, 12 on, 12 on, 12 off for all of the animals. So every light by their cage is on a timer. Can you please do more hedgie videos? What helped you decide you wanted a hedgehog? What are the pros and cons of owning a hedgehog? Where did you get your name from? How is Bear? What are the pros and cons of a CNC cage for a hedgehog? Woo-wee! Alright. Can you please do more hedgehog videos? Yes, but I try and be relatively fair and have everybody on rotation. Especially because I have a lot of people that subscribe just for the hedgehogs, just for the guinea pigs, just for the hamsters. And so I try to make sure it's well-rounded, but at the end of the day, I'm just a pet care channel in general. I'm not like a hedgehog care channel, a guinea pig care channel, you know? So I try and keep everybody in cycle. But the hedgehogs are actually due for a video very soon, so keep an eye out. What helped you decide you wanted a hedgehog? It was a pet that I had looked into before and I had done research on, and so I was like, I'm just going to do more research on it and keep looking into it and see if this is something I really want, because at the time we had only had dogs. And so, yeah. When I thought I was ready, I just went and got one. Where did you get your name from? Oh, what are the pros and cons of owning a hedgehog? Actually, they're pretty similar to my hamster pros and cons. They're relatively easy to care for. The taming is difficult, so that's a con. Their heating is a con, because they have heat requirements. I'll have to do like actual videos on these sort of things, because this is a little long for a Q&A actually. Where did you get your name from? I actually touched on this on the last Q&A, but when I first got my Instagram, it was just Felix, Bear, and Draco that was with us, and so Pug, Bear, Pibble, Felix, Hedgie, Draco. And I just kept it because I liked it. How's Bear? He's doing okay. He just went to the vet the other day. He is within like the 1% of dogs that can't dissolvable stitches. So the surgery he had back in February, which I told you guys about, he was still having stitches in, and he was still having to wear his cone because they were bugging him and poking him, and he's still wearing his cone now. But we took him in and they clipped them finally, and they're starting to fall out. So he goes back in Wednesday. What are the pros and cons of a CNC cage for a hedgehog? Pros would be you can make it any size or shape you want. CNC cages are incredibly customizable, and depending on where you live, they're really affordable too. Cons would be they're really hard to heat. As with any wire cage you use for a hedgehog, they can be very, very difficult to keep heat in. Almost impossible, so you almost have to have a pretty warm room. So yeah, that's a major con, especially for a hedgehog. Sorry for asking lots of questions, but when you made the carrier, I was wondering, will it be okay if the wire can be put on with hot glue? With the type of mesh I used, no, that wouldn't work. It's too thick and stiff. So that wouldn't work unless you used a ton of hot glue, and at that point, it would be kind of pointless. If you used like actual screening, that could probably work. Duct tape would also work. But I would only recommend that type of stuff for like a hedgehog because they don't chew, and they don't climb really, especially not really in carriers. If you were using the carrier for like a hedgehog, or I mean, if you were using the carrier for like a hamster, you'd have trouble because they can push and chew and climb and all of that stuff. So you want to make sure it's secure enough for whatever animal you're putting in it. What type of small carrier can also be used as a home for a hedgehog, or only for a carrier? I'm not sure what you mean by that, but usually carriers are significantly smaller, so that they're easy to travel with. You couldn't really make a cage. You couldn't really turn a carrier into a cage unless your carrier was big. So you can make like a bin cage for them. They can have 105 quarts or larger. And if you kept it on the smaller side, like the 105 quarts, which I think is a little too small, but a lot of people really enjoy it. If you kept the bin cage on the smaller side, you could take the whole cage with you places. But I wouldn't really call that a carrier. I would just call that you taking the cage with you. Carriers tend to be significantly smaller. As you saw in the DIY carrier tutorial that I posted, the hamster that I used, Arwen, she fit in there with enough space to stand and stuff, and enough space for me to fit a tunnel or a bed in, but that's it. She didn't have enough space for her wheel or anything like that, and that's because the carriers were, I use mine a lot for emergency purposes, but they're also for just like vet trips and stuff like that. So they're just to be taken places. They're not really for extended use. And with that, that's all our questions. If you guys would like me to elaborate on anything, I know I sort of like skimped over some questions to try and cut back on time, but also because I've touched on them in other videos or previously in this video, you know. But if you guys would like me to elaborate on anything, just leave the questions again down below and I'll type out a response for you guys. So I'm doing this Q&A because we hit 2,000 subscribers, so thank you guys so much for subscribing and watching. It really means a lot to me. I wasn't really ever sure if this channel was gonna make it this far, and so I'm really glad that it has, and I'm looking forward to the future with you guys. With that being said, I was wondering if you guys wanted Q&As more often, just because the sheer amount of questions I get on them. Both of the Q&As that I've done have been very long, and so I was thinking maybe I should be doing like monthly Q&As or weekly, or you guys let me know what you want. I get a ton of comments every day, so maybe it'd be better if I'm addressing them in videos. Just let me know. I'm happy to oblige. And if you guys have any video requests, go ahead and leave them down below. I do have a list of a bunch of video requests that you guys send in, and any new ones just go on the list so I know what you want and can film it. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. I don't know what that was. That was a bye, I think. Bye, guys.